Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another filmmaking tutorial. In this video, I want to show you guys how to shoot slow motion. One of the best ways to making your content look cinematic is by shooting it in slow motion. I've shot a ton of stuff in my past videos in slow-mo, and I feel like it just improves the quality of the videos. And so in this video, I want to show you my process for shooting slow motion from camera settings to when you're in the edit. The first step to shooting slow motion is to make sure you're shooting in 60 frames per second on your camera. The normal frame rate that cameras shoot at is 24 frames per second. That's what looks most natural to the eye, but you want to shoot at 60 frames. Once you do that, you need to change your shutter speed. The shutter speed should always be about double what your frame rate is. So for 24 frames per second, your shutter speed is usually around 50. But for 60 frames per second, you want your shutter speed to be around 1/120th of a second. The closest setting on my camera is 125. Because you're choosing a faster shutter speed, usually that'll darken your exposure, so you'll probably need to bump up the ISO a bit. So that's what you need when it comes to camera settings. When you're actually shooting it, you'll notice that the image seems a lot shakier now. You've got more frames going by, so you'll notice more shake. Now, you'll just have to be as smooth as possible, but remember that you're slowing this down in post, so you only need a few seconds of smoothness. What I do is I keep the camera close to my body, I hold my breath, and in some cases I actually let myself fall forward or back, just so I can get that 1 to 2 seconds of smooth motion. Another thing that I've noticed when I'm out shooting people or subjects is that even though you are going to be slowing it up in post, you still want your subject to move sort of slow. When they're moving kind of quickly or even at normal speed, when you slow it up in post, it's still not as slow as you'd like. At least that's what I've noticed in my experience. So when I'm shooting a person or some type of moving object, I still try and make them go slower than normal, because slower is always better. So once you've got your clips that you've shot in 60 frames, you're ready to edit them together. One very important thing to pay attention to is your project settings. You need to be aware of whether you're editing your project in 60 frames or in 24 frames. If you edit the project in 60 frames per second, the final exported file will be in 60 frames, and that just doesn't look as natural to the eye, like I mentioned before. So I recommend that you make sure that you're editing your project in 24 frames per second. The easiest way to do that if you're editing in Final Cut Pro 10 is to put a clip that's 24 frames per second into the timeline first. The project settings will automatically adapt to the settings of the clip that you put in. Then I can put in my 60 frame clips but still edit at a 24 frame rate. So once you have your 60 frame clips into the timeline, you need to put them in slow motion. And the way you do that is by finding the icon that looks like a timer. Click on it, you'll see your slow options, fast, but then go all the way down to automatic speed. Click on that and then your clip will automatically go into slow motion. It'll slow the clip up by 40%, and that's because you're editing in your 24 frame project. Now this only works if you are editing in a 24 frame project. If your project was 60 frames per second and you clicked automatic speed, nothing would happen. You would have to go back up here and choose how much you wanted to slow it down by. But this is why I recommend that you edit in 24 frames per second by dragging in a clip that's 24 frames, then adding your 60 frames and clicking automatic speed. It's much easier and your finished product will just look more natural. But yeah, once you have your clips in slow-mo, you can cut together the parts that you like, looking for where you have the smoothest motion, and there you have it, you have slow motion. That'll hopefully just add a little bit more quality to your videos. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.